Everybody got those arrows drawn? So next we're gonna look at what is a sensor, okay? Sensor, write this down up in this top box here. This is the definition for a sensor. Receptors that can detect the change of stimulus. Receptors that can detect the change of stimulus. So make sure to write it down. Receptors that can detect, that's the key word, detect the stimulus. You got that written down, Skylar? Cool. Very good, everyone's got it written down? All right, so in our example here where we got the thermostat in our home, what do you think that sensor would be? What in your house detects the temperature? Thermostat, right? So that would be a thermostat. So thermostat. A thermostat has a sensor that detects, again, detects critical, the drop in temperature. Okay, thermostat has a sensor that detects a drop in temperature. All right, so the next part of our feedback loop is the control, right? The control here. So the sensor detects the stimulus, and then we move to the control. So for control, the definition is part of our body or cell that receives the message and decides how to respond. So this is the part that does the thinking, right? And it is part of our body or cell that receives the message. So if there's an arrow, we want to have an arrow from sensor going to control, because the sensor sends the signal to the control. Part of our body or cell that receives the message and decides, so that's the action word there, decides how to respond. Okay? Everybody got that? Okay, so now we have the control. So for our little example here where we have the thermostat in the house, what actually does the control? You have the sensor, and then what does the control? It's actually still part of the thermostat, okay? So in the thermostat, you have a sensor in a computer chip. Sensor and computer chip. Okay, and then the computer turns on the heater. Okay, so that's the control. So the sensor realizes that the temperature is too low, okay, and then it uses the computer and the thermostat to turn on, to tell the heater, the furnace to turn on. Okay, does that all make sense? Pretty straightforward. All right. Now the fourth part is called the effector. Okay, and the effector creates the response or effect to counter the change of stimulus. That's kind of a long one, but it makes sense. So I'll write it down. Creates the response or effect, kind of the same thing, response or effect, to counter the stimulus. Okay, that's the effector. Oh, and it goes the arrow from control to effector. So these are the steps, right? Okay, so in our model here, example here with the thermostat, we got the stimulus, it's cold outside, temperature drops, and then the sensor in the thermostat detects that the temperature dropped, it's too low, and tells the control, the sensor in the computer chip to then turn on the heater. And then finally, the effector, which creates a response, would be the furnace, okay, or your heater, which creates heat. Oops. Which, okay, creates heat. The heat goes through your house, your apartment, and then, so the output, right, is heat. Okay? And then that heat feeds back on the beginning, which was the cold temperature. Right? So it goes all the way back and feeds on it. So then it raises the temperature. Once the temperature raises, then it can shut off. Okay? That's why you have a negative feedback loop, because you're going from the stimulus, then there's a response to it, a change, which creates the heat, and then it reverses the stimulus, right? Temperature goes up. The same here, you have whatever the output is here, negatively impacts the start. So you should draw an arrow coming from the effector and then going back to the stimulus. Okay? Does that make sense? All right, so we're gonna have a fun little worksheet here. We're gonna go through some examples of negative feedback in your body, and we'll work through them. So each of these little problems has a paragraph, and there are instructions on how to fill this out. Okay, so the directions are this. You read the paragraph, 4 examples, then you use the information from that paragraph to fill out what's the stimulus, what's the sensor, what's the control, and what's the effector. Okay? And I would say probably helpful, work with your partner on it. Well, read it first yourself, and then you can work with your partner to try to figure out and fill in each of the boxes. Okay? So everybody do the first one, then we'll review it and go from there. One of the most amazing things about Mr. Wang is his ability to count sheets of paper at lightning speed. He's like a computer that counts the paper. Oh, thank you. See? That would never happen to us. Read the first paragraph. Okay? Yeah, you go back. You remember that. Huh? That was to the gym. Oh, okay. All right. All right, so read that first paragraph and then figure out what all of the different steps are. starting to write. You don't have to read the whole paragraph before you start to fill it in. It might be easier. You should already be filling in the first box at least. So the story's told in order, right? Just like the feedback loop, it goes in order. So it's pretty easy to figure out the different parts. I wouldn't say easy, but it's straightforward. We'll work on it. Focus on this. Some people already started on the second one, which is nice to see. Everybody should be writing into those boxes. Yeah? Body control. You get the body temperature. Everything you need to know is in the paragraph. If you're looking at somewhere else, you're not looking in the right place. What do you mean? Oh, I know. So, I have to change that. I think the first one's going to be the hardest. Then once you go through it, you guys are going to get it. It'll be fine after that. Okay, I'll give you another minute to try to do it on your own, and then we're going to go over it together, okay? And see what we got. So 1 minute. Back. Huh? Okay, but you're going to miss the explanation. Huh? This one. No. Why don't you wait until we go through it, then you can write them down, and then I'll let you go. Okay? Okay, let's go over that one together, the body temperature. All right. The human body functions optimally at a temperature of 98.6 degrees. Maintaining stable body temperature is crucial. One day you're late for school, You have to run all the way. The extra energy your muscles use creates heat, causing your body temperature to rise above 98.6 degrees Fahrenheit. So what's the stimulus there? Paul, do you know the stimulus? Anybody? Chia?
The body temperature rises.
Body temperature rises. That's it. That's all you need to write there. Body temperature rises, right? Okay. This rise in temperature is detected by receptors in your skin and by your hypothalamus, which is part of the brain. Okay, so what's the sensor? Or sensors? They are? You want to say, right? Oh, you did a different one, didn't you? Yeah. Okay, what's the sensor there? Right in the sentence. Your body. Ryan, sorry, Paul. Skin, right? Receptors in your skin and a part of your brain called the hypothalamus. Hypothalamus. So those are the sensors. That's a little complicated because there's two different ones. That's biology for you. Nothing is simple in biology. All right. So we have the stimulus and the sensor. Then the hypothalamus sends signals to effectors in your body, causing blood vessels close to your skin to dilate and activating sweat glands. So that would be the control, right? The control is what? Karen, you know, control? What's the control there? Who's doing the controlling? Who's doing the thinking here? Who's making the decision? Hypothalamus, right? The hypothalamus sends signals to your blood vessels and to your sweat glands, right? And then, okay, so causes your blood vessels close to your skin to dilate and activating sweat glands. Okay, so, and then the evaporation of sweat cools your skin and the cooled blood travels to other parts of your body. So what's the effector? Somebody knows the effector? Nicole?
The sweat glands release sweat and that cools the body.
That's right. And then what's the result?
It cools the body.
Cools the body, right? Okay. All right, so we got all four of those, going all through four. And then the last step is the final arrow going across, right? Once the body temperature returns to normal, the hypothalamus signals the blood vessels to reconstrict and the sweat glands to stop producing sweat. So we have that arrow going back from the effector back to the stimulus, right? The body temperature has gone back down, the stimulus is no longer there, so it can turn itself off. All right? Okay, I think you guys all kind of get it now. We'll do the second one, and hopefully we can get all three of them. If not, you guys are going to have a little bit of homework because we have 4 in total. So start working on that second one, and I'll come around and check on you guys, okay? Just remember, you just read until you find the stimulus. Then you can put that in the box. And then read until you find the sensor. It's all in order because it's basically a stepwise process. So this one's blood sugar. Actually, the stimulus is body temperature. The stimulus is cool. Another way to think of the stimulus is what is changing that your body needs to deal with. That's another way to think of what the stimulus is. What's the issue in a sense? Okay, so the stimulus here. Your body. Yeah. And read there, how is that affecting the sensor? What affects the change? It's in there. I'll come back. Hard? It's hard? Yeah, it's hard. So the bigger thing is
How is that complicated?
See, one thing complicated for one person. Just read it, and as you read through, you're gonna find each of these things in order, and just. Oh, say that thing back. Now you guys do your best, okay? Just read the paragraph. Stimulus is whatever the issue is, whatever's changing in the environment that needs to be dealt with. That's the stimulus. Good, short but sweet. Again, the stimulus, just think about what's the change in the environment that we feel. Right? Temperature goes up, sugar goes down, CO2 is too high.
What do you get? Low or low?
Where does your blood? Pancreas? Yeah, pancreas. So this is glucagon, right? And then it causes the effect is pancreas. So that's why I say, oh. Pancreas. Wait, here. Here's the liver. Liver releasing sugar. Yeah, when somebody comes back. Yeah. Yeah, if you guys want to put it in your book, one way to do it would be to staple just the top. That way you don't have to go over anything. We have a staplers. You can staple the top in and then fold it, or just glue one line across the top, fold it, glue one line across the top, and then put it in like that. Okay? So you cover up as little as possible. Yeah. Yeah. Put that one first, and then the second one. I don't know what assignment number it is. There's actually 2 assignments we're getting down today. 14 and 15.
Okay, that's probably easy.
All right, who wanted to go the rest? Just leave. You want to go? Blood sugar drops. Glucose or something in the blood sugar. Yep. I think this one probably effective would be the liver and the bloodstream. So that's effective. How do you reverse this?
Try to get as much as you can.
And then your blood sugar increases, and then very good. Yeah, doing good. I appreciate the effort. If it were easy, you wouldn't need to be here. If anybody feels like they just don't quite get it yet and have any clarification you want, yeah, you can take both of them in. Yep, and then what I would do with this one is just keep it real. Yeah? That's the Makai. How many points are each of them? 1,000. I don't know. How many points are there? A million. Oh my God.
I mean, this is-
1,000.
I would say that the first, well, there are two separate things, right? So the first sheet, I would make it, notes and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe you can make it 10, and then the second one can be 10. 10 and 6, fine.
What happened?
So then, looking at the from both sides, and you can make it one guy. That makes sense. Just don't do this side. Wait, no, I was thinking it was this one. The first one's done.
Salt. Yep. Yep, sense of part now. Good. Because it's all concentration. The feedback.
So when you open it,
Makai, you want to show Hagar how to do it? Anybody needs a stapler for them? Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's a good idea. So what you can do on the second page, under example 4, you can glue it on this part. So fold it, and then glue that bottom part. Okay, because there's not really much, there's a white space there you can use.
You know, Ursula takes care of 3 years in those shops.
You.
But you'll be free. What happened to baby words nowadays?
All right, you guys got 1 minute. 1 minute.